Hey everyone, so Blender 4.4 was just released. Let's go through the blog post. So time for action, improved animation workflow, better modeling, new sculpt brush and smoother video editing plus over 700 issues fixed. I think this particular image is from the movie Flow, which just won an Oscar, I guess. Which was again made completely with Blender. So if you want, you can go to the showcase reel. Here is a recap video as well, and quality blender 4.4 is all about stability during the 2024-25 northern hemisphere winter. Blender developers double down on quality and stability in a group effort called winter of quality. In just a few months, developer fixed over 700 reported issues, revisited the old bug reports and addressed unreported problems. Alongside bug fixes, winter of quality also included tackling technical debt and improving documentation. Issue addressed per module, so animation and rigging 37, asset system 9, core 15, grease pencil 147, modeling 45, nodes and physics 80, pipeline and IO 22, platform builds and test 5, Python API 21, render and cycles 53, sculpt paint and texture 45, user interface 119, VFX and video 51, viewport and EV 47. So action packed. Blender 4.4 introduces action slot, revolutionizing animation workflow by letting multiple data blocks share a single action. What are action slots? Before action slots, each data block specific action like an object's position, a camera's depth of field, or a material shader property needed its own separate action. This made it difficult to animate multiple elements together or share animations between objects or even projects. For example, if you wanted to animate a camera moving while also change its depth of field, you would need two separate actions which couldn't easily be linked or reused. Now you can mix all sorts of animations such as object's position, its material properties, even compositing effects, all within a single action. More animation constraints. Relation lines for constraints are no longer drawn when there is no target. Graph editor, new F-curve noise modifier algorithm. Rigging, bone collection membership is now mirrored when symmetrizing an armature, and panel normalization now supports locking multiple vertex groups. Removing a modifier, constraint or shape key also deletes its driver. Python API conceptual changes in the API. Pose library, major overhaul to pose assets to improve the user experience. Documentation, user manual update. VSE, vastly superior editing. The video sequencer continues to improve with quality of life upgrades for text editing, expanded support for codecs including H265 and 10 by 12 bit videos, and performance improvements that makes editing faster than ever. Edit text on the spot, introducing edit text for text strips in preview. So yeah, you can use something like this. Find your center. Multi-line text strips can now be properly aligned to the left, right or center. Faster everything. Building proxies for image sequences is faster now. Preview playback performance of float HDR content is faster now. Text strips background fill box is several times faster now for large fill areas. Curves, hue correct, white balance modifiers are 1.5x to 2x faster now. Many sequencer effects are slightly faster now thanks to more efficient multi-threading. Video beyond. Blender 4.4 adds supports for rendering videos using H265 HEVC codec. Videos are now rendered in BT709 color space now, preventing playback inconsistency from the previously unspecified color space. Additionally, video playback YUV RGB conversion is more accurate now, fixing color shifts and banding in dark regions. Blender now supports 10 and 12 bit channel videos. During rendering, you can set a color depth of 10 to 12 bits for supported codecs, 10 bit for H264, H265 AV1, 12 bit for H265 AV1. When reading 10 bit or 12 bit videos, they are loaded as floating point images. Even more sequencer. Improved layout for text strip properties, new roundness property for text strip background box. Custom fonts text strips no longer default to other fonts for missing characters. Snapping now works with retiming keys. Duplicate strip images in preview area. Add effect menu has been improved. Video rotation metadata is now respected. Copying strips or creating meta strips now include effect chains automatically, avoiding selection errors. Proxies for EXR or other float HDR format image strips now work properly. Expand your Blender. The Blender extension platform keeps growing with over 500 free add-ons and themes to customize your workflow. You can also share your own add-ons and themes. Pole position, a new option in the select by trade operator, lets you select by pole count. Easily find all 3 poles or 5 pole points in your mesh given their impact on topology. The default selects all poles that do not have 4 edges, allowing for easy inspection. Modeling influencer, joining triangles to chords now prioritize chord dominant topology, creating a more structured grid layout. This helps maintain cleaner geometry and improved mesh flow, especially in models where uniform chords are preferred. This behavior can be adjusted using a topology influence factor to better control how triangles are merged. Vertex and edge dissolving edges may remove additional unselected edges to ensure the mesh remains valid. Previously, this also dissolved vertices connected to those unselected edges. The new behavior process only vertices that belong to the selected, now dissolved edges. More modeling, up to 15 times faster playback when using custom normals or sharp edges. And panel normalization now supports locking multiple vertex groups. Added curves edit mode, support for selected link pick. Sculpt, plain and simple, stay grounded or reach new heights with new sculpt brush type plane. Then the plane brush is a generalization of the existing flatten, fill and scrape brushes with new options to control stabilization and range of influence above and below the brush plane. Key feature include adjustable height above the brush plane, depth control for vertices below it, and an option to invert these settings. Stabilization options for normal brush planes, orientation and planes position are also available for precise control. More sculpt, grab random cloth and grab cloth now use local simulation area by default. Sample color operator assigned to shift control X in texture paint, prevent entering sculpt mode in invisible objects. Rebuild VH no longer adds an undo entry. Frame selected renamed to frame last stroke. New operator property to override position on sculpt and paint modes. Cloth brushes now have the persistent option off by default. User interface, she comes in colors. Window decorations now follow the theme colors on Windows level and macOS. Snap into place, editors now softly snap into minimum and maximum sizes with improved splitting previews and docking feedback. Scroll bars are hidden for small editors. Hidden away, horizontal scroll bars are now hidden automatically when they don't fit in the editor. Node editor fade, in the node editors inputs that can't affect output are now grayed out for group nodes, geometry nodes, modifiers and node tools. Other editor improvements, so asset browser, new default sorting option, assets now sorted by catalog instead of name. New operator to remove asset preview available in the asset browser sidebar. Brush names are easier to read with light theme. 3D viewport, default front face color for face orientation. Overlay is now transparent. Mesh indices overlay setting is now always visible regardless of developer extras. Measure tool items can now be deleted with gizmos off. Animation can now play in sculpt mode. Viewport render now displays a progress bar. Brush tool fall off curve presents expanded in popovers. Knife tool overlay now uses gizmo theme colors. More readable mesh indices. Object data name shown in text overlay. FPH display in overlay no longer jiggles when starting. UV image editor view mode now uses sample as a default tool. UV editor, Ctrl C and Ctrl V shortcuts for copying and pasting UVs. Status bar show warning when active object has non-uniform or negative scale. Show warning when transform operation has no effect. Color picker status helps shown for macOS for picking outside of Blender. Improved status bar display for several operator. Notification banners are now truncated when very long. Show notification when hiding objects. Preferences, extensions, add button to quickly access an add-ons folder. More user preferences now reset to actual defaults. Improved social studio lights editor interface layout. Language translation options are now preserved when changing languages. See all preferences changes. Properties, persistent height and scroll position on tree views. improved container codec ordering in FFmpeg video dropdowns. UI list now be sorted in reversed alphabetical. See all properties editor changes. macOS quick look. On macOS, you can now preview blend file contents in a thumbnail in Finder, app expose and spotlight. Everything UI. So files, full file name now shown on recent item tooltips. Default file names now capitalized as untitled. Icons batch rename now has icons for data type. Material icon flipped horizontally to better differentiate it from word. Text objects with non-default fonts no longer load missing characters from other fonts. Text objects with missing or invalid fonts no longer use characters from the default font. Fonts, improved selection from fonts folder, improved calculation of text string length for monospaced font. Interface fonts enter updated to 4.1. General rename masking property to better reflects its usage. Eyedropper color picking can now be cancelled without losing the original color. Preview images load faster and display fewer artifacts at different sizes. Show warning when image drag and drop fails. Preview items show a loading icon while loading or being rendered. Tooltips now appear while animation is playing. Status colors are clearer on light backgrounds. Color space tooltips show more details with expanded acronyms. Proper display colors without alpha. Improved vertical centering. Tooltips now disappear faster with gizmo interaction, no longer redraw with slight mouse movements. Center dialogues can now be moved. Pop-up alerts, example Python script warnings, adjust width based on content. Quick favorites and other menus now support accelerators. Underline letters for toggles. Improved adjust last operation behavior. Resets to defaults in redo panel no longer closes it. Preview items show a slide background in menus. Pie menus now close on loss of window focus. Theme, select outline color for pull down is now customizable. Light theme icon border now mirrors earlier Blender version. Animation, animated values for nodes and inputs now have clearer name. Auto keyframe toggle works better with keyboard shortcuts. Better feedback during animation playback timer test. Improved current frame indicator styling in movie clip and image editors. Color picker HSL value can now be adjusted by trackpad scrolling. Improvements to 3D connection and DOF support, and DOF orbit direction now inverts when upside down. Cursor, increased contrast for transform cursors. Larger alternative version of the frame cursor for high DPI displays. Compositor speed for everyone. The CPU compositor was rewritten to pave the way for future development. The rewrite provides significant improvements in performance in certain configurations of some nodes, caching of static resources like images, and less memory usage on node setups with many nodes that operate in pixel. Filter nodes are particularly faster now. Level nodes is up to 10x faster. Filter and Kuhara are twice as fast. Blur nodes up to 4 times faster. Glare filter is not only more advanced but also 6x more performant. Pixelate node is 9 times faster. Adjusting compositor node trees can be slightly faster and more interactive. That's because the compositor now adds computing outputs that aren't viewed by the user through the backdrop or image editor. The overall compositing experience should now feel more responsive whether you are using CPU or GPU. Glare glow up. The glare node got a major revamp for better control and usability. Linkable inputs. Most node options are now input sockets you can connect. New outputs, generated glare and highlights are now exposed as output sockets. A new strength input lets you adjust glare intensity. Fog, glow and bloom sizes are now linear and scale properly. More realistic, energy conserving and properly scaled bloom. Adjust glare saturation and tint with dedicated inputs. Highlight control, clamp and smooth highlights with the new smoothness and maximum inputs. Tidy UI, inputs are now neatly organized into collapsible panels. More compositor added support for integer sockets. New quality option of open image denoise on the denoise node. Fast Gaussian blur is now much more accurate. Image transformation are no longer destructive until processed. Wrapping is now repeat in the translate node. Nodes-con compatibility. Industry ready. All library version used in Blender 4.4 are aligned with VFX reference platform 2025, making studio pipeline integration and maintenance easier. Build but wait, there's more. Geometry nodes, new node, find in string, new input node, collection and object. New limit surface option available in the subdivision surface mode. Normal input node now outputs proper face corner normals instead of just face normals. Join geometry and realize instance nodes now preserve the vertex group status of input attributes. The text overlay in 3D view works for matrix attributes now. Performance triangulate node is 30x to 100x faster. Sort element node is 50% faster in common scenarios. The warning node now has a dynamic label depending on the selected type. UI resizing nodes now support snapping. GLTF added support for importing action slots. Add option to not select created objects. Add option to import scene extras or not. Export several breaking changes to hooks. Export always bake scene animation so driven animated properties can be exported. Export add interpolation fallback option. Export several improvements to collection export. Bug fixes. Python API new bpy.app.module indicates if Blender is running as Python module. New property to check if installation is portable. New operations for curve. New operation for node. Grease pencil Python API updates. VSE major API breaking changes and deprecated properties. Animation slotted action related additions, deprecated properties and breaking changes. Complete list of API breaking changes. If you want, you can check it over here. Core added support for rendering videos using H265 HEVC codec. Blender system scripts now supports multiple paths. New Blender custom splash to replace the splash screen artwork. EXR images that use DWAA and DWAB compression codec now have a quality setting. Render audio can now render to AAC format. Autosave and quit.blend files are now always saved with compression. 3D viewport overlay engine rewrites and improvements. Expose view lock rotation property in the sidebar view. Cycles improved optics denoiser more accurately render subpixel bump mapping. Baking speed up selected to active baking. OSL improved closure compatibility with Material X. Improved stable subset. More robust host memory fallback when GPU runs out of memory. NVIDIA support GeForce RTX 50 series. AMD support RX 90 series. AMD HIP RT library updates and minimum driver version increased. Intel minimum driver version increased. Intel improved image texture sampling performance. Spreadsheet the selected filter for meshes now gives expected result for non-vertex domain. Outliner improved vertex group sorting. Supports control shift for excluding collection. Fixed overlapping icons with some display option. Can now unisolate collection when a linked collection is present. Non-object active item text now drawn in text high color. Drag and drop to scene now updates the view. Child objects linked to other collections are now faded. UHD animated volumes from geometry node or volume modifiers are now supported for export. Material displacement for UHD preview surface is now supported in import and export. Point instancers with animated attributes are now supported on import. The experimental instancing option now supports object hierarchies and non-mesh geometry. Example curves, points and clouds. New Python hooks added merge parent xform option to control UHD prim merging with its xform parent during import for better hierarchy preservation. Added apply unit conversion scale option to scale objects by the UHD's stage meters per unit scale. Added merge parent xform option to control whether Blender object transforms are returned to their data prim or kept separate on export, reducing UHD prim count and preserving hierarchy. Added units and meter per units option to set the UHD stage measurements or a custom value. UHD and albemarle edge and vertex crease processing now respects the value range expected by open subdiv. Windows copy and paste OS image path into image editor. File system volume name displays correctly with high bit Unicode characters. Alt GR key is now treated as regular Alt key. Welcome experimental huge performance improvements, compatibility and known issue. Grease pencil, several operators and functionality from the old grease pencil were restored. Properties of lock materials can be edited similar to properties of lock layer. Invisible layers are no longer part of evaluated data. UI the preview icon of locked materials is no longer grayed out. Lock all and unlock all operators now work on a layer group. hide others. Operators now also consider layer groups, vertex color and layer tinting, render in solid shading mode. macOS improved color picking outside of Blender windows. Key maps can be searched with native key names. Main window title improvements, enhanced NDOF device input handling when using 3D connection driver version 10.8.7 and later. Linux fixed text pasting from Blender to certain other applications such as Firefox not working under X level. Plus hundreds of bug fixes, code cleanups and refactored. And yeah, credit to all these guys who have helped with this particular release. Yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. Bye.